That snaps for losers, man. I don't get involved in that stuff, but
Angel Rashad Milligan rolling out.
That's a good question.
Brandon,
we
you want one quick
can't
question?
ask Rashad questions.
Hey,
The
Rashad.
next topic, man, is Fat Joe. Fat Joe has apparently been sued for $20 million by a former hype man in an explosive complaint. He alleges that the rapper engaged in inappropriate acts with minors, a minor, and coerced him into more than 4,000 inappropriate acts to maintain his standing. They not like us. They not like the lawsuit comes after the rapper sued T.A. Dixon in April for slandering him on social media by claiming Fat Joe flew out a 16-year-old girl across state lines. Oh my gosh. Say, Joe, I heard you like him allegedly young. This is written by Tatiana Siegel. Oh my goodness, Fat Joe, you might be. Let's see. And you got a podcast? With a podcast, bro, you can't ignore stuff like this. Like, you have to address it. Because you talk about everybody, but on their pod, they don't talk about other people like that. It's like more like sit down interview type of style over there, and them telling old stories about what they used to do. But anyways, we'll see what happens. Fat Joe's former hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon, has filed an explosive lawsuit in federal court against the rapper on Thursday. Dixon, he did it on Juneteenth. Dixon is alleging that his former boss, whose real name is Joseph Antonio Cartinga, engaged in coercive labor exploitation, financial fraud, inappropriate manipulation, violent intimidation, and physical coercion. Dixon adds that the hip hop star behind such chart toppers as What You Love got rich and famous, while he and his associates deliberately suppressed, silenced, and erased Dixon's substantial creative, artistic, commercial contributions. Might sound like a bit of a jealous hype man. But let's read this. Which were foundational to Fat Joe's professional success and personal brand. He's seeking up to $20 million in damages. Jeez Louise. The complaint filed in the U.S. Southern District of New York, details so many disturbing claims about Fat Joe's alleged inappropriate relations with women, including minors, that contains a trigger warning on the first page of a 157-page document. 157 pages? Fat Joe, you might just be cooked. For 16 years, Dixon served as Fat Joe's so-called hype man, a common figure in hip-hop who supports the artist by energizing the crowd and enhancing the overall performance. He also contributed as a lyricist and background vocalist on such hits as Congratulations, Ice Cream, and Money Over Bees. According to the complaint, he had a rival vantage point. Hold on now. I'm trying to get this, make sure we get this right, because Variety will copyright you. Hold on, let me get this right, y'all. Sorry. We ain't doing no copyright. We're not doing that. How you let me see how I'm gonna get around this. Okay, it's paused. Okay. According to the complaint, he had an unrivaled vantage point to observe the rapper's offstage lifestyle and behavior. Dixon was represented by Tyrone Blackburn, who was the lead counsel in a high-profile case against Sean Diddy Combs. In February 2024, Blackburn filed a lawsuit on behalf of Diddy accuser Lil Rodney, alleging that the SASH and failure to pay his underling. 1 month later, the Department of Homeland Security agents conducted raids on Combs' mansions in Los Angeles and Miami. Dixon states in the complaint that Fat Joe forced him to, quote unquote, humiliating situations, including inappropriate acts performed under the duress and surveillance, accompanied by threats of abandonment in foreign countries if he refused compliance. By his own estimation, Dixon states the suit that he was coerced into more than 4,000 inappropriate acts to maintain his standing within the enterprise. Most shockingly, the suit claims that Dixon, quote unquote, personally witnessed Fat Joe engage in inappropriate relations with children who were 15 and 16 years old, and lists 3 girls such as Jane Doe, including the 16-year-old Dominican girl in New York who, quote unquote, in exchange for cash, clothing, and payment of her cell phone bill. What did he do to piss the hype man off, bro? Fat Joe, Fat Joe. If just one of these in this 152-page document stories is true, my brother, you might just be cooked. Fat Joe always takes a hit every single year already for using the N word. And every time they bring it up, Fat Joe just responds, "What, my N word? I can't use it. Who gonna tell me what words I can and cannot use, my N word?" Now we might have something a little more heavy than his language usage and his language choices, vernacular choice. Anyway, list three, such as Jane Doe, including a 16-year-old girl, Dominican girl in New York, um, who, in exchange for cash, clothing, and the payment of her cell phone bill, would perform. Oh my goodness, will perform that head top, 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 top. All right, anyways. And other inappropriate acts on the rapper. Minor Doe 2 was a Caucasian female and is not an American United States citizen. Fat Joe began having relations with the minor 2 when she was 15 years old after a concert overseas. Oh my gosh. Say, Joe, I heard you allegedly like him young. The defendant flew minor Doe 2 to New York City and Miami, Florida on multiple occasions due to minor 2 Doe's um, body being adolescent and not fully formed. Defendant paid for her to get a Brazilian butt lift at 15. Oh, no. I don't know if I'm, bro. If this, bro, like I said, if one of these claims is true, all of these stories do not have to be true for Fat Joe to, boy, it might be over for you, boy. Minor 2 eventually left the defendant and is now married to a professional athlete. Oh my gosh. The complaint says Minor 3 is a Latina female who met the defendant when she was 15 years old, turning 16. Oh my gosh. According to Dixon, defendant was in love with Minor 3. Oh my goodness. He even contemplated leaving his wife. What's up? Slow down, baby. Oh man, Fat Joe, you might be cooked. Oh my goodness. And lean back. Hold on. He even contemplated leaving his wife. The defendant paid all of Minor Three's bills and even took her overseas to his tour stops. He brought her. Where are the parents? R. Kelly? The defendant paid all of Minor Three's bills and even took her overseas to tour stops. He brought her to Florida and would put her up in a condo that he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife. So the 15-year-old was just staying in condos by herself. Like she had to not have parents, bro. Like your parents just letting you fly out at 15 years old to a city to be with a man and stay in a whole condo by yourself down the street from said man. Come on, bro. You got to be kidding me, bro. He brought her to Florida and would put her in a condo, rented a few blocks from his house with his wife. The lawsuit states in a recorded conversation, Minor 3 and her 15-year-old cousin described in detail to plaintiff about how, quote unquote, inappropriate it was for Fat Joe, who was in his late 30s at the time, to be fawning over children. What's up? This is all alleged. This is me just reading the report. You cannot get me for defamation. This is covered under legals because I'm saying allegedly and I'm reading it straight from the report, which came straight from the documents. Fat Joe is represented by celebrity criminal attorney Joe Tacopina, who defended everyone from A$AP Rocky to Donald Trump in high-profile cases. Tacopina responded to the lawsuit, saying in a statement to Variety, the lawsuit is filed by Tyrone Blackburn and Terrence Dixon is a blatant act of retaliation, a desperate attempt to deflect the attention from the civil suit we filed first, which exposed their coordinated scheme to extort Fat Joe through lies, threats, and manufactured allegations. Law enforcement is aware of the extortionate demand at the heart of the scheme. The allegations against Fat Joe are complete fabrications, lies intended to damage his reputation and force a settlement through public pressure. Fat Joe will not be intimidated. We have taken legal action to expose this fraudulent campaign to hold everybody involved accountable. The statement continued. Defendants in the suit include Pistol Pete Torres and rich player Josh Bright. Stratford, who the complaint refers to as key associates in Fat Joe's criminal enterprise, asserting the civil claims of violations of Trafficking Victims Protection Act and Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, also known as the Civil RICO, as well as related violations under New York and Florida law, including unjust enrichment, quantum merit, fraudulent concealment, fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and money laundering. The suit additionally names Jay-Z's Rock Nation, claiming that the company, which represents Fat Joe, knowingly participate in concealing, quote unquote, concealing, transferring, and manipulating, end quote, Dixon's authorship rights and royalty interests, and sought to intimidate, harass, and obstruct the hype man's legitimate claims against Fat Joe Torres and the Rich Joe guy. According to the lawsuit, the defendants, quote unquote, engaged in deliberate tax fraud schemes, end quote, in an effort to conceal their extensive wage theft, artificially inflate Dixon's tax liabilities, expose them to unwarranted tax audits and penalties, and systemically obscure the exploited labor. The complaint cites a whistleblower accountant who came forward last year, as well as recorded phone calls to help paint the picture of alleged misdeeds. Okay, now that is just general kind of falling out with your old hype man stuff. But the children stuff, those are some serious allegations, bro. Serious allegations. The move comes after Fat Joe sued Dixon in April for slandering him on social media by claiming the Bronx-born rapper, who enjoys a high level of political connections, flew out a 16-year-old girl. So he been saying, "Oh, I gotta see this." So I gotta see this. So he been saying this on social media. Tyrone Blackburn. Let me see. Tyrone Blackburn. He said this on social media before, bro. Nah, that's not Blackburn. Let me see. Fat Joe, 16-year-old. Slow down, baby. Baby, so be I don't go down. Hold on, man. I said, care. I'm trying to see this because bro was saying this. Hold on, let me see. Fat Joe hype man. What's this hype man's name? Hype man. No. She from Clayco. I can't find it. I cannot find it. All right. Anyways, we gonna get back to it then, because I'm trying to find the videos that he talking about, or like his social media stuff. Tyrone Black claiming the player tried to shake him down for a settlement. This is the right way to fight, Joe. Through the system, you can't fight him through any other way. Dixon tells Variety in exclusive interview. Joe thinks he's a god. Joe thinks he's untouchable. Oh, they talking big talk. Dixon's suit against Fat Joe goes so much further than his social media posts and states that he endured, quote unquote, a wide spectrum of coercion, psychological control, force exhibitionism, and surveillance-based humiliation, including being compelled to perform inappropriate acts under observation, being filmed and directed by Fat Joe in the presence of others, tactics designed to control the plaintiff's body, erode his anatomy, and ensure silence. It adds, quote unquote, these inappropriate base abuses were not private, incidental, or isolated. They were integral to the enterprise's culture and dominance of humiliation enforced by Fat Joe's associates like Pistol P, JB, and others, and sustained across numerous tour locations, including Miami, North Carolina, Germany, Spain, and Wisconsin. In Thursday's complaint, Dixon claims that the activity took place on Market America's corporate yacht at its mansions properties, where Fat Joe, quote unquote, orchestrated repeated orgies involving the plaintiff, female dancers, and minors the defendant used. The lawsuit adds that Fat Joe used his status as a hip hop star to compel Dixon and others into, quote unquote, degrading sexual performances, often while Fat Joe watched, recorded, or directed the encounters. These incidents occurred under the conditions that included the presence of a corporate security staff, surveillance cameras, and defendant's management entourage, yet no intervention occurred, supporting the interference that these acts were facilitated by and covered up by the broader enterprise and its affiliates. The complaint continues. Dixon did not willingly consent to participate in these acts. Instead, plaintiff submitted solely out of fear and immediate retaliation, which defendant repeatedly demonstrated would include financial punishment, professional sabotage, abandonment in foreign countries, or physical harm. The suit also claims that Fat Joe issued veiled threats and witness intimidation via direct messages such as "you love your family, right?" or "fall back in 48 hours and we let you live." Oh my goodness. Can I live? Though Fat Joe hobnobbed with some of the biggest names in politics, including then Vice President Kamala Harris. Oh my gosh. Not they doing that. There was at least one brush of a scandal back in 2010. He and members of his entourage were detained and questioned after a University of Wisconsin student reported an alleged SA following a performance at the city's Orpheum Theater. At the time, Fat Joe's attorney called the woman a pretender groupie, quote unquote, who was attempting to, quote unquote, shake down the rapper for money. Interesting. We see what happened. The truth shall come out soon. Hopefully, we'll see.
That's steps for losers, man. I don't get involved in that stuff, but.
George Shaw Milligan rolling out.
That's a good question.
Brandon,
We can't ask Rashad a question.
Hey, Rashad.